Ange, hi. Could you just have your team news to start off with? 𝙢𝙤𝙣𝙛𝙚, Beaton out still?
𝙢𝙤𝙣𝙛 still out, so we'll see how he goes over the next sort of week or so. So he's still out. Beaton trained this morning and got through training, so he should be okay. We're still obviously training tomorrow, and then aside from that, everyone else is fine after last week.
Obviously, there's 3 points at stake, but the bigger picture as well is hard to ignore. How do you make sure your team are focused as they usually are? Is it harder this week than usual?
No, I don't think it's harder. As you said, it's kind of the usual for us. We know and understand that, we've got to perform well on the weekend. If we do that, gives us a good chance of having some success and getting the 3 points. And if we do that, then we know, it inches us closer to where we want to get to. So, no, I don't think so. Look, we were pleased with last week's performance. Obviously, coming off the back of a disappointing result the week before, it's always important you respond in the right manner, and I thought we did. We played some good football at a difficult venue, and we reviewed that, and I've had a good week of training, and players are ready to go.
Alison?
Ange, obviously the nominees came out for Scottish Manager of the Year this morning. You're among the nominees. For you personally, how does that feel to be recognised in that way?
Yeah, look, it's pleasing. It's always funny with kind of the Manager of the Year award, because you kind of realise, whoever's kind of in our position, that we're kind of representative of a group, so it doesn't necessarily reflect on just myself. It reflects on all our coaching staff and all our organisation, and I think feel really pleased and proud for the whole group that the other coaches have everyone involved has nominated us, and some fantastic coaches on the list as well. I've always said Melky's done a great job, and so has Dick at Arbroath and Paul Hartley at Cove. I think we're getting to the point where Manager of the Year will be managers who survive the season pretty soon, and that'll be the award. But happy to be nominated, and as I said, pleased for the group.
Just going back to the game, I know you're always very much about looking the game that's in front of you, but given the game at the weekend, how much do you look back on that semi-final defeat at Hampden a couple of weeks ago?
You look back on it like you look back on every game, and the game before that and the game before that, but that's kind of reviewed, after the game, and we gave the feedback to the players, and areas we felt we could have done better, and I said after the game it was a very tight game, and you lose to a goal in extra time, and you kind of know that it's a game of fine margins, which you expect in a semi-final, but it doesn't mean you take everything from that into this. It's a different game, a league game's different to a cup game. There's different pressures involved, and different objectives for everyone. So I guess from our perspective, it's about making sure that, like I said, we responded really well last week, which was important. Playing our football, and it's important we take that into Sunday as well.
Andy Burke?
Hi, Ange. Rangers obviously have gone very deep in the Europa League. I just wondered what you've made of their run. They're obviously demonstrating that there's no reason that Scottish clubs can't make their mark in Europe. And does it maybe give you a taste for next season of getting back involved and making your own mark?
Yeah, I think Scottish clubs, including this one, have made their mark in Europe before. I don't think we've learned anything new this year. Rangers have done very well, and Giovanni's I think done a great job in getting him to the semi-finals, and I guess from their perspective, after last night they're still in the tie, and an opportunity to get to a final, which is great. But I think if you want evidence of how well Scottish clubs can do in Europe, there's a trophy I can show you just down the road here, mate.
Just going back to the award nomination, you mentioned, as you always do when you get the monthly awards, that it's a collective from the coaches and everyone involved. Just a word on the likes of John and Gavin. When things weren't going well last season, I think maybe many fans would have been looking for a full clear out, given things didn't go so well. But these guys have hung around and clearly bought into what you've been trying to do at the club.
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of them hanging around. You know, I was given an option of sort of, you know, bringing my own people in, but I've always felt that with all these things, you know, you've got to assess the totality of everything that happened. So last year was a disappointing year, but previous to that, the club had won, you know, 9 premierships in a row, and you know, guys like John Kennedy were part of that. So you've got to, you know, you can't just dismiss or put a line through people because of, you know, a difficult or challenging year. My sort of view on it was that with all these things, I like to form my own opinion and make my own assessment of people, because obviously when I come in, things change, the environment changes, the way we work changes, and then you see how people adjust. And, you know, I gave all staff here an opportunity to sort of buy into it. And I think if it wasn't working, you would see by our results. But I think, you know, they've all done a fantastic job to sort of understand what I needed from them, and you know, the change in the environment and how they fit into that, and they've brought their own skills and expertise to it as well. So, like I said, I think our sort of trajectory this year and where we are at the moment is reflective of all those guys' efforts, and I'm sure they learnt a lot last year as well. You know, I mean, it hasn't been all successes in my career, and I can tell you that when I have stumbled, I've learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about, you know, the areas I needed to be better at, and I'm sure that's the case for the guys who were here last year.
Thanks, Ange.
Thanks, mate.
Ronnie Charters.
Hi, Ange. We were just speaking to Tony there. He was just talking, obviously asked the question about the edging ever closer to winning the title. He was talking about taking the craziness out of a fixture like this. How important is that? You know, just that calming influence, to know that how much this game means and the atmosphere that goes with it, but also to take that breath and be calm on the pitch when you know that craziness may be going on around you.
Yeah, I mean that's the big challenge for you know, players, you know, in big games and when they're playing for big clubs. That's your challenge. That you kind of know that the human beings, their emotions will be running high on the day. They understand the significance of the game, and when you have the atmosphere we're going to have at Celtic Park, again, that has an effect on people. So it's, you know, that's the challenge of, you know, performing well in big games and playing at big clubs, is that you need to channel that in a positive way and sort of almost use it to further drive the principles that have got you there in the first place. Because I think sometimes, you know, it can be easily to get swayed by that and believing you needed to do something extra, or something extra was required, or something slightly different. And I think that's when, you know, that sort of energy can be used in the wrong way. So, you know, the challenge for our players and the team on these big occasions is to make sure that, you know, we use that. We want to have that energy and that enthusiasm and that passion that's going to be on the night. We want to use that, but use that within the context of making sure we still stick to our principles. And you know, that's the beautiful thing of it, you know. And I think most players, that's the area they want to get challenged into most, you know, that you know, when the stakes are the highest, can I bring my best game and stick to my principles?
And for you personally, a chance to go 9 clear with just 3 games left, an exciting position to be in. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Looking forward to it. I mean, you know, we kind of know we're at the, you know, the final stretch, so to speak. You know, I was talking about it with the coaches this morning. We literally got probably 2 weeks left, and it's all done. You know, so which is crazy, because, you know, you're kind of in this mode of taking it a week at a time and head down for quite a long time, and then you realise that, you know, the next time I say, you know, a week at a time, it'll be it, you know. Yeah, but looking forward to it. It's a big game. We know it's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere, and again, it's a game you want to be involved in. You know, if we're successful, it gives us a hell of a chance of finishing champions. So all those kind of factors going into it, yeah, looking forward to it.
Sorry, Ange.
Yeah, just wanted to go back to Rangers. Excuse me. Obviously, they had another big game in Europe last night. Do you expect to be right up for this one like they were for the semi-final after they had that extra time 3 days before? Do you think because it's between ties and it is the semi-final, they might rotate a little bit more this Sunday?
Again, I mean that's not sort of the way we think about it. We expect them, we expect them to be at their best as they were in the semi-final and as they were at Ibrox in the game before. And I think other people sort of read too much into that stuff. I think they're going to put out a team that believe can beat us and challenge us, and we're going to be expecting them to be at their best as we have in every other game. So what happens midweek becomes really relevant to our preparation anyway. Now, what the outcome is of that on game day, everyone will see that. But in terms of our preparation, it doesn't change anything. We don't think about it being any sort of different challenge for us. We're expecting a tough game, as all the other derbies have been, and our job is to make sure we bring our energy, enthusiasm, and intensity that we can, and particularly at home, we know that we're tough to beat when we do that.
Just wanted to ask you about some of your players, Georgios Giacomakis and Kyogo Furuhashi, two strikers with some of the most goals in the league. Is it a good dilemma for you to have that you've got to pick one of them? Could you play both of them, or how big an impact can these two players have on such a big game?
Yeah, I mean, it's better than early in the year when I had neither of them. That was a tough one. But, yeah, both are in great form. Both, I think Kyogo certainly is getting closer to the fitness and the sharpness that, he's comfortable with. And with Jacko, he only missed a week, which was good, which meant he didn't sort of lose any conditioning. So they're both ready to go, both ready to make an impact. And can they both play together? Certainly they can. But ultimately, it's about for me having as many of our players playing their best football on Sunday. That's going to be important to us, rather than again thinking that one individual or two individuals are going to make the difference. The key to our success coming to this point has been that we've had contributions from everybody at different times, and we're going to need everyone ready to do that on Sunday.
Okay, Cheryl, hi.
Hi Ange, you've now experienced a derby with a 50-50 split of the fans. Do you think there's a case for bringing back a bigger away allocation for the benefit of the game itself?
Oh, look, there's no doubt. I think it gives a better atmosphere. Absolutely. I've always said that part of the magic of this game, why it's been known all around the world, is the atmosphere that's created. And if you look at past vision, when there's been more of an away allocation, it just adds to the atmosphere. So, but we're at home this week, so I'll take what we've got this week, and I'm sure our fans and supporters will make a hell of a lot of noise and create the atmosphere that we know is only special at Celtic Park, and try and use that to sort of generate the intensity and tempo we need to win the game.
It's still unclear at this point who Rangers have available, particularly in the up front at the top of the pitch. Does that make it more difficult for you to plan what you're going to do? Does it make no difference?
No, not really. Again, you always analyse the opposition, you always respect the opposition, but I think again we've really made sure that all year we've focused more on kind of how we play the game and how we embrace and approach each different challenge. And for us, particularly at home this year, we've been really good at getting off to strong starts and putting the opposition under pressure from the start, and that's going to be another important part of it for us on Sunday, because we know that when we can do that early in a game, it gives us a good foothold to grow into a game, and we inevitably finish strongly anyway. So we, as I said, we're preparing for them to be at their best, and at their best they're a tough team to play, and at our best we're a tough team to stop. So that's all we can do.
Joe McKenna, hi Joe.
You know, it's Joe McKenna, Homeboys podcast. In the past, you've suggested that you use a bit of a hands-off approach to the squad, away from the training and and match day pitch, allowing them to have their own space. The question is then, how do you then gauge the feeling of the camp over a week, say before a game like this? Be calming nerves that need to be calmed, or firing people up that need to be reminded of the importance. Is that something that you would kind of have relayed back to you by captain or the backroom staff, or is it something that you notice in training?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I keep my distance, but things tend to make it through my door anyway, mate, one way or another. We obviously I've been around for a while, and you kind of get a sense of these things. But yeah, as I said early on in the piece today, I'm just one person in a machine, and yes, I'm sort of the front man, but there are so many members of staff and the players themselves who having constant conversations, constant dialogue, and if anything that is particularly alarming, in either way, gets brought to my attention. So it's a little bit of everything, and whilst it's not like I'm sitting in a separate building. We're all in the same building. I still bump into them in corridors, and they still have to face me during meal time. So I still get a sense of sort of how everyone is. It's just, as a general rule, I'm not kind of in the players' faces or the staff's faces all the time. It's just not my nature.
And looking forward towards Sunday, and you're a guy that kind of very much sort of lives in the present moment, it appears. And this week you're having a lot of arithmetical hypotheticals thrown at you. And if we can consider this sort of phase one of the rebuild, and then feasibly next season will be phase two, as a person that lives in the kind of present moment, when does your mindset flip over to think about phase two? Is it trophy in hand after a break in the summer?
No, it's constant, so it kind of runs parallel. I've been around for a while, so I'm pretty good at sort of making sure that I know where the priorities lay, and the priorities at this present time, in terms of my responsibilities, lay in what happens on Sunday. But parallel to that, we're already working on next year. We're already working on sort of making sure that both on and off the field, we're going to be stronger than we are this year, because we have to be, irrespective of the outcomes of this year. We need to be a better team, a stronger team. We need to our environment to be even better than what it was this year. So whatever standards we've set, we need to improve on and increase next year. That has to happen. So for that to happen, we need to start the planning now. So, I've been in constant dialogue with the club, and we know what we need to do. Like I said, irrespective of what happens over the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, we know the areas we need to improve in, and the areas we need to sort of make adjustments to on and off the park. And I want to make sure that come first day of pre-season next year, that all those things are already in place. So they're running parallel, and for me they don't. It's of equal importance, but usually that's done probably after we've dealt with the matter at hand. The matter at hand now is the game on Sunday. So, for most of today, that'll be my focus. And then when sort of everyone goes home, I'll kind of, make sure we continue with our planning for next year.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Joe. Richard?
Hi, Ange. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Ange, about the Japanese players over the course of the season. They've really taken to the support's hearts. They play with a sense of joy. They seem like archetypal Celtic players in many ways, and they're really celebrated in the fan base. What's that been like for you, Ange, seeing them become Celtic heroes, if you like? Yeah,
look, they've done well. Again, let's not just call them Japanese players, because I think that's just unfair to them. They're all very, very different guys, and very, very different sort of different types of players. The one thing about it is they have all embraced the football club and the supporters. They've loved every minute of it, and I think I think they have a general sort of all four of them, when they play. They give everything when they're out there. Like a lot of the players we've bought, we kind of try and target those kind of players. And the one thing about our support is that, irrespective of how a player's performing, if they see that they're giving everything on the day, they warmed to them. And, I think, 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚𝙚, when he first came, was just really determined to make an impact straight away. For him, this was his chance to sort of, make his mark in Europe and making his mark in Europe at a big club. And, he wasn't going to let that go. And, 𝙤𝙤𝙣𝙚 was a bit different. He's had a sort of crack at Europe, and, he's come back as a different kind of player. And again, really determined to make a mark for himself. 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚 was, he's had 2 years of professional football, and he's determined to reach the very top of the game, and, came here again with the determination to again make an impact at the club. And 𝙤𝙧𝙚 obviously hasn't had much of an opportunity, which has been, I guess, difficult for him and for me, because I really think he will be a strong contributor for us, when he gets an opportunity. It's just the way the games have gone. But, I think for all four of them, the key for them is they've come into an environment, and the playing group needs to take a lot of credit for that, into a dressing room where they've been really embraced. Harder when you're coming from the other side of the world, obviously, from a different culture and not speaking the language. But, all four of the boys have working really hard to understand Scottish, thinking that English was the first language when they first came here. And, they've embraced all of it. And I think you can see from the supporters that, I think with all our sort of new signings, I think they're the kind of players that have an attitude and a character that our supporters want to see, irrespective of sort of their playing ability.
As we reach the end of the season, Ange, has there been a moment that's been a personal high point for you that you could talk about? A game that's really, you've saw the team play in a way that it's made you feel quite proud, that's kind of achieved your vision, if you like?
Yeah, as I just said before, I've got, we're trying to win a championship, trying to build for next year. My time for reflection is probably, still a little bit of time away. I'm not that sort of, it's just not my nature. I'm always thinking that the best sort of moment is ahead, hopefully, and that's what you kind of look for. But for me, the most significant moment was the day I got appointed. That was because, for a person like me who's kind of had a long career and but also understood that for a door like this to be open, something unique would have to happen, then all I could ever ask for from anybody was an opportunity. And, the fact that, the people at this football club gave me that opportunity, for me, that was the most significant and best moment, because that then allows me to do everything else I've sort of done over the last 8 or 9 months.